Ladies and gentlemen, it is 4th of July weekend, Friday night, 7 p.m. Pacific time, and we're back at it again. And the fireworks are going to go off.
I'm here this time.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
After Chet's extended vacation, but seems to always be on the Toy Box Chronicles, but misses this. I don't know if that's in his contract or not.
It is.
It might just be. But the fireworks are about to go off. Before we go any further, please hit the like, subscribe to the channel. It only helps us grow. We appreciate you joining in this evening. Wow. We got a big, jam-packed agenda for you here on Pixels Plastic Inc. First off, there's so many MCU rumors out there. First off, the director of Deadpool Wolverine says this will be unlike any Marvel movie you have ever seen. What the hell is he talking about? What the hell does he mean? We'll talk about that. Also, Daredevil Reborn, Punisher 3, 1960s Fantastic Four. Did we hear that correct? And much more. And then Captain America. Yes, it is the 5th of July. And what better way to celebrate America than America himself? We will talk in an elimination bracket challenge, the best Captain America moments of all time. And then we move on to Pixels Plastic. I'm sorry. Now we go to plastic. And it's Deadpool and Wolverine. Are they going to do any books for Deadpool and Wolverine? We talked about that last week. I'm not sure those are even going to hit. And then also the Haslab predictions. We've talked a little bit about that too. Is it Fang, Foom? Is it a couple of other big characters? Who the hell knows? But we're going to lean on Mr. Storm and Chet Maddox to discuss that in the toy universe. And then we'll round out with Marvel Bloodhunt. Is it dead before it even got started? We will talk through this and much more. This is Pixels, Plastic, and Ink. All right. Well, thanks for being here with us. The Red, White, and MCU. How's your 4th of July, everyone?
Fantastic, brother. Cannot complain other than the heat. The heat in Southern California is murder.
I think the heat across the country has been brutal.
I was mad because I didn't realize it came after the 3rd.
Well, I knew exactly what day it was because right outside of my window in my apartment complex, I had a fireworks display that would rival Disneyland there across the San Fernando Valley, and literally the apartment complex right in front of me. They were lighting off giant fireworks that should only be reserved for like fields and stadiums because it was way too loud, scary, and you could hear things falling down, but it was beautiful.
I'm honestly, the fireworks display here in Los Angeles and greater Southern California, I'm pretty sure I saw portals being lit and people jumping through. That's how crazy it is. It's interesting that there are no fireworks allowed in most parts of LA, yet you wouldn't have any idea that was the case. And in the South, in the Georgia area, Chet, I'm sure it was a Disneyland extravaganza. Are we right?
Yeah, I mean, look, like a 5-minute drive from my house. I have two. Sorry, one's 5 minutes, one's about 6 minutes. Two fireworks stores that are open 365.
Oh
Um,
man, yeah,
and
wow.
so I went in and I bought some fireworks and decided to set them off myself. And you can do that. And so I blew shit up. So, but and I also realized it's a place where I can get my smoke for photography. So I bought
There
a
you
bunch of
go. There you go.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this because as a younger gentleman, I used to get fireworks and I had lots of action figures and stuff, and I would blow stuff up. I don't know if any of you guys used to do that. I would set stuff on fire. Plastic burns very pretty as it goes to the ground. But that's what I did in my youth. I survived it, and nothing burned down. But
Well, now they call that toy photography.
well, yeah, exactly. I was having a good time.
Yeah, I
just
think
should
the
have
kid,
photographed it.
that scary kid from Toy Story, Sid, who destroyed the toys. Now we know it might be.
Well, I wasn't too mean. I mean, unless burning alive is mean.
Yeah, I would say it's kind of on the borderline of mean. Yeah, if you are all into toy photography, by the way, a lot of us here on the cast are doing toy photography. So we will include our Instagram links at the bottom of this show. So if you're all into that, you can see some cool moments with some cool figures. But let's jump right into the MCU news. And let's start off with the big thing, Deadpool Wolverine. It's weeks away. The excitement, the buzz, the energy. We've heard all the things, the rumors, the cameos, XYZ. But what does the director, what does he mean by we're going to break the mold and it's unlike anything you've ever seen? Because when I think about that, like cameos is one thing, but
Yeah.
they're setting this expectation that is unlike anything else. Like what do you all think about that? What do you think is coming towards our way in the next couple of weeks?
I literally think it's just for a change. I don't think he's going with the old formula. I don't think they can anymore. I think they have to try newer and better things. And I think by, look, the last couple of times we had Endgame and Infinity War, that was probably the last true great moments that the MCU had. And over the course of that, they've just been hitting miss after miss. So they're coming out with something completely unexpected, and it is shaping up to be the biggest thing of the summer. I've been looking at the pre-numbers. This thing is going to skyrocket. So I hope the formula's changed. I hope it's not all about linking up to TV shows and other things that's not going to or building up for the next movie or this. Worry about right now. Give us everything we want. As many cameos. I'll be walking out that theater ticked off if Blade and Wesley Snipes is not in that, especially with all these rumors. Like I want to see all kind of things that I don't expect and everything. Heck, I want to even see Dolph Lundgren as Punisher show up. Give me everything. Just pull it out the fireworks and everything. They can bring back, all the original Captain America. How about the 70s TV show Spider-Man?
Oh, yeah.
Just give me every variant that you possibly can. But you better not do the same damn thing you've done before.
Now, that brings up a very good point because that is what Ryan Reynolds can do. Is like, yeah, bring back Matt Salinger from Captain America with the plastic ears on the side of the suit. Like he would do everything like that. They can just make it a movie without a plot. And it could just be, hey, this is, the middle section, Act 2, is all your favorite Marvel characters fighting your other favorite Marvel characters. Hulk, Sabretooth, all these people come out and it's a free-for-all. And then they do something at the end to tie it all up. They can do something crazy with this because they have all of the actors and the clout behind it. So, they are able to do anything they want.
Sure. Mr. Maddox.
Chet.
I think it's going to be Well, I think what they're talking about. I don't know. I think everyone's kind of like. I think they're doing like a distraction.
Hmm.
Because everything is so focused on like the cameos and how good that's going to be, and I'm in it for that. But I think that there's something more to the movie that they're not telling anybody, and I think that is the biggest reason why they're going to be at Comic-Con. Because I think it's something that's like, and we could all take very, very educated guesses at this point in time with the MCU.
Hmm.
But let's just put it this way. Deadpool's a rated R movie that just keeps blowing expectations out of the water. Deadpool 1 was fantastic. I like Deadpool 2. It was great. But this if this is gonna be as big as everyone says it is, which I believe it's gonna be, there's not very many movies that do 3 that the third one is just as good or better than the second one, let alone the first. So I think that if Marvel as a whole was going to do anything to revamp the MCU because it is basically dead in the water based on the flops that they've released, this would be the movie they'd have to do it in. And I think that that's what they're not telling anybody is what is actually going to happen, whether it's the end of the movie, in the mid movie, or whatever that is. And there's a lot of talks of like Tony Stark and like Thor and like so they're slowly getting there. But this would be a prime time to like reboot and revamp people's interest, and I truly believe that whatever it is why they're jumping back into San Diego Comic-Con, because they didn't give two shits about it before. They didn't have any movie. They didn't want to go there and have people talk about how bad they were. But now all of a sudden you're just gonna make an appearance again. Like there's something big that I think that they're gonna release.
I mean, in all the trailers, he says, "I am Marvel Jesus." So he can reboot everything into whatever they want. And, it's like, boom, you have to watch this one movie, and this is going to be the Marvel universe going forward.
Yep.
Yeah, I think when I see break the mold, though, it doesn't just mean cameos, because that wouldn't break the mold. That would just be like a funny moment. You bring Dolph Lundgren and Wesley Snipes. There is definitely evidence they're going through portals. So the first thing they need to do is they need to be popping into fight sequences from all of the Marvel stuff, not just like if they pop into Endgame, if they pop into like the Civil War scene, like that would be epic. And I think what would break the mold is if they change the outcomes of the MCU in the future, and then built a story off of that, because they're Kangless, and the rumors they're bringing in Doom, and I'm like, I don't know, Fantastic Four is coming out. Maybe they're saving Doom for that. We know Galactus is going to be bad. So what do? Just reinvent the whole story with Deadpool and Wolverine and change it.
You're right about that, because in Deadpool 2, they changed the outcome. They went back through time. They made people alive that were dead. And so they can do that with the entire Marvel universe.
Oh, yeah. And wonder if they go back and they somehow interfere with Red Skull's death. And that's the character. Red Skull and Hydra, you build that is the next. I would love to see Doom. I just don't know how you do it. Like, I just think that's breaking the mold, is changing what you knew of. Maybe they go in and rescue Tony Stark. Like, that would be game changing, not just the cameos.
Maybe
but you are setting the expectations so high. Sure. I hope they don't underdeliver.
Well, I'm thinking also maybe, because I've heard that they're trying to do the 60s Fantastic Four. Maybe they do something and alternate it, and like maybe the Fantastic Four was supposed to be in present day, and they go through screwing around, and they reboot it to like Marvel's 1960s. You never know. They can play around with anything. The rules is only what Kevin Feige and the rest over at Marvel Studios allows them to do.
Yeah, Feige said that the film. Well, I just want to say on the 60s thing real quick. Feige said that the film was very much so a period piece, but different to our own 1960s.
So
I don't know what he's saying, but in another universe in the
Mhm.
1960s, which could be a segue to whatever the hell's happening in this film, as you said, Mr. Storm.
Mhm.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it is. Like I said again, I think they have carte blanche to do some stuff and really make it exciting. You know, it's like if you're going to give something to the fans, give them something. One that we're not expecting. Two is that it's one of those things you walk out the theater hyped. The original first 10 years of the MCU, I don't know one person that didn't come into either a workplace or into an office and was like, "Holy crap! Did you see what happened in Iron Man?" Or "Holy crap! Did you see what happened at the end of Thor?" It was just one of those things where everyone was talking about. Up until Endgame and Infinity Wars, I haven't heard that talk. Mostly people are like, "My God, did you see this stuff they were doing?" And it wasn't the same excitement. So they've got a prime opportunity. I hope they really seize it.
Yep. Speaking of the new phase 6 coming, we're thinking about now all the different types of TV shows and other films that are not the Deadpools and the Wolverines, and one is the MCU's version of Thunderbolts.
Yep.
And this will be led by Bucky Barnes, still played by the same actor. You got John Walker, Ghost, Yelena, Red Guardian, Taskmaster. So what do you all think about this? Thunderbolts, is this something they should continue to move forward with, or this is one of those like one-offs where people are like, I don't know, not too many big main characters out of here other than probably obviously Bucky, known from the previous shows. But any thoughts on this? And then also to help spark a renewed interest in the TV show, obviously Daredevil Reborn, and then talks of Punisher the third season, knowing that John Bernthal did reprise his role in Daredevil Reborn. So thoughts on like the TV stuff that's happening in the MCU?
Well, I'll say the smartest thing they did, especially with Reborn, was scrap whatever that crap they were doing in the beginning and get back to the Netflix stuff. Because look, the Netflix series is how we think of those characters in the streetwise way. Yet, though, Daredevil was close to one of those adaptations that was like right out of the book. They picked the right Matt Murdock. They picked the right Wilson Fisk. Everything about that series they did fantastic. And when they said, "Well, we're going to toss all that out," and then you saw Daredevil pop up in She-Hulk, I think fans were like, "Oh God, the Disney tinkering again." But that pivot, and like I said again, you don't go back and get all those great actors, and also pick up the actors that paid Karen Page, Foggy Nelson, all that stuff we wanted to see. You get the Punisher popping into, which I saw the scene. They actually had some behind the scene footage, and I was like, "Wow, this is gonna be great, man!" Just to get them all back a third season for the Punisher too, like that's where they've kind of gotten right at. Just give us again what we want. As for the Thunderbolts, one of the low-key favorite teams with the Avengers. It's too bad the Avengers are not all assembled again, because that would be interesting. The Thunderbolts versus them. I do want to see John Walker as a U.S. agent. I know Mr. Maddox has ordered Taskmaster, so he better be on that. Better be ready to come good on that. Just to have that many great characters in this, I think that again, Marvel's walking cautiously. When you walk cautiously, you know that any moment the rug could be pulled out from you from some of the head ups at Disney. And I think they know, like, we got to get this stuff right because fans have been very vocal. So I'm looking forward to this stuff, man. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I mean, I think okay, so the TV stuff, 1,000% agree, but they nailed it. Netflix nailed it with all of those series. I know some were not as good, but they were all better than what's come out since.
Yes.
And Thunderbolts is going to be weird because it's a lot of I mean, in comparison to Avengers and X-Men, there's a lot of unknown. I'm excited to see what happens with the new Daredevil. My concerns are Netflix, when they did it, it was very important to them to have the background on the characters, to understand the characters, which I think is why we were able to like get into it, because it was like you said, like Daredevil was like page to film almost adaptations. But with Disney now having like their hand in it, I'm excited, but I'm treading lightly. If anyone could screw up a Daredevil new series, it's going to be Disney, because they're going to be like, that's not good enough. Let's add this. Let's do that. He would never do that, right? It's just like I don't know. I'm excited for it. We'll see, but I don't know.
That's why I think that when they initially had the first series and they tossed it out, I think that went through that last vigorous screening process. And for them to cut that much bait with as much as that show that was done, that goes to show me that it was something so bad that the executive said, like, here's some more money, redo this. They rarely do that. Scrap everything.
Well, yeah.
Don't even use the old stuff.
Away millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And saying,
like Echo, they chopped that up.
Scratch, guys.
Yeah.
This sucks.
Echo, they chopped it up. They weren't willing to cut bait. They were like, well, we better just clip this and do this and hope it works. But with like Daredevil, they initially went, oh no. You need another $150 million. Go on, take that and do this. But we can't put this crap on the screen. Now, that's when I know that they're serious.
The good thing about the Thunderbolts, I think, is they can do an Avengers type movie, but with all these bad characters. So they're going to have great dialogue. Like that's the thing. They can really get into the character. And if they do that correctly, it will be great. But if they just make it bland, that, the Thunderbolts is meant to be, these are the bad guys and they have to save the world. And, and so it's like the Suicide Squad from Marvel. So I love it. And if they do it right, it can be great. Just they do not leave a lot recently to think they can do it correctly.
Yeah. Well, I think Deadpool Wolverine will start this off, and we'll see how the next installments of TV series and movies continue on its way. But we only have a couple of weeks to know for sure the direction of the MCU. Before we go any further, again, please subscribe, like, comment. We appreciate you all hanging out with us here on July 5th. Happy 4th of July weekend to you all. And if you're watching us not live, well, we appreciate it as well.
So if you're watching dead, thank you for watching.
Hey, and if you're watching us from the grave, we appreciate it as well. A little bit before Halloween, but we'll take the views. And now, Mr. Storm, without further ado, it'd only be fitting that we discuss the best Captain America moments in the history. Let's roll the tape. Well, hail to Captain America.
Woo-hoo.
So this is how we're going to do. We're going to do a round of 16 moments from the MCU. So look, we could have done 32, 48 if you included comic book moments, but we reduced it to MCU. At the end, hey, if you all remember some comic, I mean, we could have said the first time he had joined the Avengers and when he dies in the books, like it could just go on and on.
We can do a 4-hour cast, right?
The first Avengers should tell you all about how many hours we will need to go to talk about Captain America. But the rules are simple. We'll decide elimination all the way down to the number one Cap moment in the MCU. So we will get started. Are you all ready, gentlemen?
Oh, yes.
Let's do it.
Okay. Let's start it up. Sharing my screen. Whoever is navigating the console, let's begin.
Well,
Gotcha.
Oh, there it is.
There you go. There.
Okay. So, our first elimination challenge is Captain America frees the Allied POWs from the Hydra base, and then Shield versus Hammer. You saw that in the clip. The steal this to Captain America's shield and basically destroys the entire forest there. What's the best Cap moment between these two?
Well, I'll be honest with you. Let's get the metal right. That's vibranium.
Vibranium.
Now that's about all my Marvel knowledge is going out the window. All right. Nah, man, it's Hammer the Shield. Come on, man. Just,
What?
Wait,
Wait.
the
World
POW
War II
guys get
veterans
taken out. No,
getting
man.
saved is
That's
not.
gotta be.
Come
Come
on.
on. No.
No. It's World War II.
No. It's Shield to Hammer.
You are
Shield.
wrong.
And I can see. I don't even know I'm wrong. I can see. I'm going to give you.
Weekend.
I'm going to give you Storm Adamas tonight.
No.
And I can say that Mr. Maddox is going to agree with me on this one, brother.
Is he? I don't know. His headband is red, white, and blue.
Yeah, but he also looks like Thor, so we got a problem there.
I'm gonna go with the one that gave me the best reaction when I saw it, and it was Shield versus Hammer.
Yeah, Dr. Brantley, I have to agree. I think this was incredibly epic. It was like one of the first things we saw in the MCU of like Captain America's bravery. But in terms of the epic moment, that 30 seconds, that scene, man, was like the first time it like stood the test of time.
I will stand up for the veterans of the United States of America.
Hey,
if you guys don't want to, that's fine.
Hey, we appreciate all veterans.
We're saying for Captain America versus Asgardian God. Like, what are you talking about here? Like, you got it all mixed up. They're like I said, the one true person in the MCU that has the absolute heart of every veteran stood up against the African God, man. It's right there. That's my patrioticness of the weekend.
All right.
Well, all right.
I'm overruled. Let's move on.
Next move on is obviously the first Avenger. I can do this all day. Cap before the serum, and then Cap playing the villain Hail Hydra because he knows what's up. Super cool scene, underrated. What's the best Cap moment between these two?
Hail Hydra.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It was. Like I said, again, I give Chris Evans his range for this character because he truly was not one-dimensional. He constantly had a shift, and that was the moment where you're like, wow, I did not expect that to happen.
Give me the scepter. Hail Hydra. Such a cool scene. Chet, what do you think?
Yeah. Playing the villain.
Playing the villain and moves on. Next is Captain America defeats himself in Stark Tower and stopping the helicopter in Captain America Civil War, where you saw Cap like, okay, this was for the ladies scene. You know what I mean? So
that is America's ass. That's what's going to win.
I will say, Cap grabbing hold of the chopper was like, wow.
Oh, yeah. Come on.
Yeah, like, wow, man. Although fighting himself was kind of cool, but that's equal footing. But like him grabbing that chopper, you're like, every now and then again, they surprise you with what Cap could do because you're like, yeah, I guess he could do that. That's actually pretty cool. So no shield, no nothing, just grabbing on That's why Captain America's the dopest hero of the Avengers. Mr. Maddox, you can go ahead.
Chopper scene. It was because it was like for me it was pretty much what you said. It was one of those scenes where it was unexpected. There was no costume, no shield, no nothing, just like running and jumping and doing what he would have done anyways. And then as Mr. Brentley said, that's America's ass. And then they got to see America's arms. So yeah.
See, this is going to be a tiebreaker because Dr. Brantley, I agree with him fighting himself, all because when he's like, I could do this all day, and he's like, yeah, I know. Like he's just like so upset with his like arrogant
Like,
self.
yeah, I know.
I know.
On you, don't you get it?
I thought that scene was so awesome to see Cap versus Cap. So I don't know how we're going to do this because in typical ones we turn to Rotten Tomatoes. There is no Rotten Tomatoes here. So how are we deciding this, gentlemen? Which one moves forward?
I don't know how this one. To be honest with you, I don't have a clue.
There's no chat to break the tie. Come on, one person can break it. Either way, just
post it.
Type it. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe in this one, there's two Caps beat the Chopper. I don't
look.
Well, I'm going to do this. We're going to go because Dr. Brantley was overruled on his saving the veterans. So we're going to go and by a hair, Cap America defeats himself.
We'll give him Cap to Cap. Tower. Okay.
Cap to Cap. Next up, the epic scene. Captain America calls the ultimate Avengers assemble an Endgame, and then Captain America escapes S.H.I.E.L.D. with help from his shields in that epic sequence as well. So, oof.
That's real. That's real tough.
I mean, when you put all these things together, you're like, God, the Captain America might have had the best damn scenes in all of the MCU, to be honest with you.
He's had some moments. He's had some moments. I'll let Chet go first on this one.
I'm gonna go with Avengers Assemble because that's literally what everybody was waiting for that has been watching the Marvel movies. So and it was awesome because then you got to see just everybody pop in, which like you look at that scene and you're like, damn, that's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
That right there cost at least $20 million. That one shot.
He was like, budget, assemble.
No, you're right about this is the thing that the entire Marvel cinematic universe is led up to, is because they stopped him from saying it in the end of Civil War, right? Or it was another movie, but this is the one time he got to say Avengers Assemble, and everybody that's ever been in the Marvel universe came out. And also this is where Deadpool and Wolverine are going to come out in the middle of that, and they're going to do some bullshit with some side characters on the bad side as well.
That actually might be. I'm gonna say, Avengers Assemble. It lit the entire movie theater up, and it was like, wow, it's such a simple terminology, but it if you've ever read any of the Marvel comics or watched any of the animated or anything, you've heard Cap do it, and you were just like, it's a long time, but we've been waiting for Cap to do it. So it inspired people. I will give it that, man.
I think it's a clean sweep here on this one for sure. Now we have S.H.I.E.L.D. versus Hammer versus playing the villain.
Still S.H.I.E.L.D. versus Hammer, man.
I agree.
Yep. That's what I'm going with.
Whatever.
And Cap versus Avengers Assemble.
Oh, Avengers Assemble wins.
Avengers Assemble wins
There's
that.
nothing better than that.
And then last but not least, S.H.I.E.L.D. versus Hammer.
The Marvel Universe.
Avengers Assemble versus S.H.I.E.L.D. versus Hammer.
Oh, this is a tough one right here. Oh, damn.
It was the first time Thor realized,
Yeah,
Maybe
snap.
I am not the
I'm
most
not
powerful dude.
invincible.
Thanks. I gotta say, Shield versus Hammer still.
Yeah, let me just point something out that just no one ever talks about. Captain America kneeled and took that hammer like it was nothing. Being hit by like Thor and then standing up like nothing happened. I get it. Vibranium shield. Yep, cool. But he still had to withstand Thor smacking him with a hammer. Like that's like Avengers Assemble. Yeah, it was a big moment in the MCU. It was like crazy. But the Shield versus Hammer, everyone was talking about it. And then when they had that one game that came out, I forget what it was. Rad, you and I played it a bunch, but we were even like, "Are you going to do this? Like, if one of us plays Thor and the other plays Cap, like we could do the Shield thing." And they never really did it.
No.
So yeah, it's. I mean, just based on the fact that like Captain America took the hit and stood up was phenomenal.
Well, you can also change the game from rock, paper, scissors to Iron Man, hammer, and shield.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, as much as the Avengers Assemble, I think like really stood out to me. You know, it was just the quote, which was super powerful, but this like this ending of a fight sequence stood out to me as far as Shield versus Hammer.
Yeah,
but it's so tough here, I gotta say.
Oh yeah,
but I gotta go with the Shield versus Hammer. It set the tone for Thor is not the almightiest of the Avengers. Like, beware Cap and his power.
Yeah. No, beware of Tony Stark's father's ability to make a shield. That's all that does.
Hey, doesn't matter.
There's nothing better. The entire MCU is leading up to Avengers Assemble. It's 2 words. But it is a feel good
You're right.
moment
You're right.
in
You're
the
right.
theater. And everyone comes through. There's all these people that you have to pause it at home if you want to see all the characters that are coming through. It's beautiful. I think you guys are all crazy.
I think we are, but the one aspect, the reason why is that I think it's Hammer vs. Shield. Is that it's the first time, because Cap has to prove that he is the leader of the Avengers, and to break him and Iron Man, who are Thor and Iron Man, who have completely different personalities, but both can be very reckless. You know, he has to, Steve Rogers, who reluctantly has been unfrozen for less than a year at this point. He's got to come and he's got to deal with things that he has no idea how the world has changed. There was no mystical gods before he hit that ice. So that's why I kind of thought that whole thing of like, who's going to be the grown up? And Chet's right. If he doesn't take that blow, if you just can easily knock Cap off his feet, how would the other Avengers, how would Thor or how would Hulk or anyone else respect him? It's a point that he's showing dominance, that I am the first Avenger and I'm the best.
Yeah. This was the moment that was the precursor to him leading. And it was the first moment in the first Avengers where he checked Tony Stark and he checked Thor.
Cue up the patriotic music.
Both epic. So I think we're 3-1 here, Chet, unless you change your vote here. Are you still with the Shield versus Hammer?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Shield versus Hammer rules the left side of the bracket, and now we're going to the right side of the bracket and the epic fight scene in the elevator. And then Captain America gets his happily ever after with Peggy Carter.
I don't even have to think about this. that elevator scene and the Winter Soldier. No, the Winter Soldier is by far my favorite entire MCU film. It is a spy espionage kind of film all the way. But the minute he closes that thing, he says, "Do you guys really want to just do this?" like you're like, what is about to go down, man? And in a close, like whoever the choreographer is, and I think he's the gentleman that was one of the second of the Shield agents. I think he's the choreographer. it's epic because boy, he tore those dudes apart in that elevator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's never been the only other elevator fight I can think of is James Bond, and it gets blown away.
Yes.
It's a good fight in James Bond because it's a small quarters thing. They're punching out and breaking glass and stuff, but no, there's like 12 guys in the room with him, and he beats them all.
Yeah. It's the elevator scene. As much as it's heartfelt for him to see Peggy again and end it, I mean, come on, man. It's like John Wick before John Wick, in this elevator.
With a shield.
A shield. Chat.
Oh, yeah. No, it's definitely the elevator scene.
Okay. Next up. Train station entrance in Avengers Infinity War, if you remember, coming in from the shadows, and he's got his new look he's got the beard. First time you see Cap with the beard, and then obviously the epic fight sequence between Cap and Iron Man, where Cap defeats Iron Man with Bucky's help.
No, Cap and Iron Man beats just an entrance. It was a good entrance, but it's not that fight.
Chet.
I gotta go with the fight. I mean, I loved the entrance and the reveal of Cap, but the fight was awesome. So good.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree.
But I'm also a big fan of Civil War, so
yeah, I'm gonna agree with my Toy Box Chronicle mate. Yeah, that's an epic. Like we had waited that when you saw Civil War. If you read Civil War, you knew that was coming up at one point. And you're like, wow, this is going to be, because at one point, let's be honest, Captain America had very little respect for Iron Man. So you knew that this was coming down, and it was an epic scene, man. It's Cap versus Iron Man.
Did you know? Did you know that scene? Oh boy, let's move on to the next one, and that is Cap resists Thanos barehanded in Wakanda, which is another moment where like, holy shit, he don't need the shield. And then the final battle with Red Skull in the first Avenger.
Thanos. He stands up to Thanos.
That was nuts. I don't think anybody expected like, what in the hell? Like, and even Thanos was like, okay. Like
Well, I'll be honest with you. The scene in the film is only as good as when Mr. Maddox actually does that in toy photography. It is gonna be.
You need a Cap with the hair like that and the beard. You got to get that.
Don't worry, they've got him out there. You can still get him, but it's definitely going to be Cap versus Thanos, because you're like, wow, man. Even Thanos was a tad bit surprised, like, So yeah, it's definitely that, man.
Coming soon.
There you go.
Comic version.
I knew it.
The comic version.
I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
All right.
No, my pick is Thanos.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, Captain America confirms what everyone suspected, that he is worthy of the hammer. And then the final goodbye. No, I don't think I will. So between the two, the most epic moment.
Well,
hammer. He gets the hammer. It was teased in Age of Ultron.
It was.
And this is the final thing. Like when all the chips are down and everything's looking terrible, one person is like, Thor was getting his ass kicked by Thanos, and he reaches out and gets that hammer. He is worthy. It's amazing. And again, the only thing that's bigger than that is probably Avengers Assemble.
I don't know. In the movie theater, this was louder. This moment I remember being so damn loud, because the hammer was moving and people were like, what? And that scene, because that was just a culmination. Like, I get the Avengers Assemble, but like this was teased for long. We just talked about in the first Avengers, Thor and Cap colliding, and this was all leading up to the moment where he is worthy of the hammer and the power to wield the power. So for me, this is clearly the hammer scene.
I will tell you, even though, I think there were people shocked in that theater, like when it gets in the camera, I'm like, what are you talking about? There's only one person who has the absolute essence and true nature and is worthy to hold that hammer is Captain America. We knew that. I knew it wasn't going to Iron Man. I knew it was going to be Cap, but yet also he's the only other person I believe in the entire Marvel universe, other than Beta Ray Bill, that has the spirit that would actually know the weight of that responsibility and use it correctly. So it is wild. And, look, whenever I think of Captain America, I think of the elevator scene and I think him like unleashing that hammer on Thanos.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's pretty self-explanatory here.
I think it is.
Well, hold on a second. I think that's good, but you said Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah.
But you forgot about Frog of Thunder.
Yeah, but it's a frog.
I mean, but it's Thor's frog, and he wielded the hammer.
Yeah, but look, let's put it like this: two things that curses me about that Loki series. I never got to see the frog. I never got to see Beta Ray Bill, but all these other variants are popping up all over the place. So,
jeez. All right, elevator fight versus Cap versus Iron Man.
I still got to go with the elevator fight scene. I know it's Cap and her, but it's the elevator fight scene was just because those dudes that got on that elevator was like, I don't want to do this.
Well, was it one of them sweating?
3 different levels.
He was
right.
That's how he figured it out.
More people come on.
Yeah.
They go up, and he's starting to get suspicious. And then another level of people come on. He's like, "Oh shit! Okay." It's like, "Oh, does anyone want to get off before we do this?" Like he realizes, and it's like, "Oh, yeah, it's the elevator."
It's the elevator.
And this showing the power of Cap.
Wow. Well, it's both. He's kicking Thanos' butt a couple of times.
Yeah,
we'll say that. So it's a Thanos on Thanos crime here. But I say Hammer's more special because my man did wield a heck of a lightning bolt as well, which I was like, now that I didn't expect Cap to do. Mm-hmm. So it's got to be Cap having the hammer, man.
It'd be so funny if the Deadpool Wolverine, the hammer's coming to Cap, and like Deadpool like gets in the way of it or something like comically, like again, use these like epic scenes to be part of. Yeah, for me, it's the hammer as well. Chat.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's hammer.
And
it's
then
hammer
the last elevator versus hammer.
It's much as the elevator scene is dope, but it's still Cap getting that hammer.
I think it's hammer time.
Yeah,
it's hammer. It's hammer. Last, who is going to win the most epic moment? Is it the hammer versus Shield versus hammer? We got hammers in play, but I'm pretty confident you are all going to choose the endgame sequence.
We again
establishing Cap as worthy.
As well, and I think they're still they still became teammates and everything. But man, like I said, man, he lit the entire field up with like lightning on Thanos, man. Even Thanos was like, "Well, I wasn't expecting this." It's that, brother. I'm sorry.
That is it, ladies and gentlemen. We have narrowed down to number one. If we forgot some scenes or you disagree, please drop a comment. But it's proven that Captain America is an all-time Avenger, so that's amazing to see. And with that being said, please like, subscribe. Thanks for tuning in here at 7 p.m. Pacific time, right here on the Shadow Knows Network. Lots of other content if you're listening or viewing. Tons of other videos. Toy Box Chronicles with Mr. Storm and Chet Maddox, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Pacific time. And upcoming is a big cast where we talk about Star Wars versus Marvel Legends versus G.I. Joe, a whole roundtable discussion on the best toys we'll touch on a little bit. But now it is time, Mr. Storm, for our next topic of the evening, and that is plastic. I think it'd only be fitting to pass the baton in this segment to the next Haslab predictions in the Marvel Universe. Then the man who has the grail of build-a-figures in the Marvel Universe right behind, and the one that has filled the rumor and Reddit pages, the next Haslab, and that is Fang Foom. So, Mr. Chet Maddox, what are your thoughts on the next Marvel Haslab? So much discussion, so many rumors, and Mr. Storm has hinted, like, will there ever be a vehicle in the Marvel Haslab universe?
Yeah. Look, Fin Fang Foom. It's an awesome build a figure. It's hard to get. When you find it, you got to pay up. Now, there's some like we've talked about it a couple times. There's like a fan made pic that came out about like what a Haslab would look like with like levels. I truly feel like it probably will be Fin Fang Foom. Especially because there's some pretty relevant people in the community that haven't been wrong, that are saying it's going to be Fin Fang Foom. I I do think though that there would be something about a vehicle like a Quinjet or a helicarrier. And I know the helicarrier would be massive at 6-inch scale, but you know they made the Cantina. So I think that I think it'd be Fin Fang Foom. I was talking to Mr. Storm the other day, and I really feel like they could also do another Celestial. And if they did another Celestial, it would be Airsham, which is even bigger than Galactus, which would be bigger than Galactus right now as he stands at 32 inches. I mean, they'd have to make him gigantic because he's like the Celestial. So they could go that route. But yeah, I don't know. I'm fingers crossed. If it is, I'll definitely buy Fin Fang Foom. I don't know. Thoughts?
Yeah, well, you know, when
after that last movie, they are never going to do a Celestial character.
I think. Well, now here's the thing. You know, again, like Sean Connery said, never say never. When it comes down to, they may do a Celestial only because of the fact it would rival Galactus' size, and they could do lighting effects for him as well. So
his helmet has like six eyeballs on it.
Yeah, so if you're gonna do it, you know, I could see them at one point doing it because so far they've done like bigger, badder, like you know they're reaching, you know, even with Giant Man, they're reaching the point where there's only so many characters left that they could make it that size. So I could see them doing it, but I think it's because of like Mr. Maddox pointed out, because Fin Fang Foom is so damn expensive as a builder figure, and it's something where we haven't seen that character in a very long time redone. So if you're going to do him, you're going to do him like the size of the Sentinel. He's going to be huge, and you're probably going to introduce some characters we haven't seen before. I don't think we've seen a modern version of the Mandarin in the Marvel Legends.
No.
So I could see that going hand in hand with Fin Fang Foom. There's so many greats, and you could do an accurate version. You could do several. You know, you could probably have the pants on, pants off. You can have, you know, certain giant wings. Maybe he has a fire effect. They could do a lot of things with that character, man.
Yep.
Well, I mentioned this on previous casts, but just do a Stark Tower.
Yeah. Well, again, we've been talking about that Stark Tower too. Now the Stark Tower is probably a little bit more realistic.
Scale, you can't do that. It would be
you can. No. Height wise, not width wise. They could do.
You could only do like 2 levels.
Well, yeah, do the level.
Do
do the level with all the Iron Man suits, like Tony's like AI science room. And you have the thing like the Cantina, but way better, or you can put the different Iron Man collectible suits.
That's $1,000. Now,
and Hasbro has not shown the capacity to roll with a G. Come on, like don't believe me. If they think they can get that cash, they're going to go out and get
that.
It.
Would be funded if you charged $8.99. It'd be funded. Are you kidding me?
Your Dormammu one.
Yeah, could.
Mm-hmm.
They also have not done like this would be because we tend to think of the Haslab projects in the Marvel universe being gigantic. But it doesn't have to be that big. They have not recreated, in my opinion, like a Hulk that scales like extremely well, like with the 6-inch, and something's like a hot toy in a sense where you did like a cool Hulk, something along those like a customizable Hulk that could be swapped out to do variations of Hulk versus getting a red Hulk or green Hulk. If you did something along those lines, that'd be cool because they do have figures like that for the $60, $70 pop. You got Red Hulk, you got Gray Hulk, but they did something with Hulk, that'd be badass. Because right now they don't have like a super elite one. The best, largest scale figure is Marvel Select. So Hasbro doesn't even do the largest Hulk right now available.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, are those Hulk figures like to scale, like from the movies? Because he's got to be like 10 feet tall or something, right?
Yeah, I mean the closest one is the Marvel Select version, but they could do one way better, easily way better.
Well, I think you hit on the head. I could see them offering maybe and I've seen it only on the Legos, but an Iron Man suit room where it would come with like the tiers would be like one of the mocks that you haven't seen, and then you can make the effects light up when it actually goes into the thing. I think I could see them doing that.
That'd be awesome.
There's certain ways they could do it. They have to actually level up because again, there's a lot of stuff that we haven't seen. But I just think that they're in the modes of right now, especially with the box art that's wonderful on even the Giant Man's box art. I've seen it. It's really nice to pay homage. I think Fang Foom just in a box like that works for however they're going to do it. And then I can see, like I said, Jet Maddox down the line, a Celestial. And then eventually I think they have to start after that doing vehicles somehow.
Yep, for sure. Any other thoughts on Haslab? We will wait and see, but the recent news is, not to spoil it, but the Cantina, the Star Wars Vintage Haslab, has been funded. The first tier, unlikely to get to any additional tiers, but they have funded it. So congrats to them.
No, I mean, I would be upset because if I'm buying this thing for what, $400, or possibly $500, depending on which one you got. It's like, what, I'm not getting these other characters. I want the werewolf. I want the werewolf.
Yeah. Well, it's only at 8,740 backers, so it ain't getting into the first tier.
Yeah. Unless they get just
I got 3 days.
They get 2,000 international buyers.
I think they have to make it to
happen.
It's gonna. Let me tell you something. Once it got to the 8,000, I knew they were slipping away. I think it will make one tier. I don't see it getting beyond that one tier. I think 11,000, because they've done it before. I've seen them dropping in last moment 3,000 or 4,000 actual international orders, and they kind of reached the finish line, or they just inflated that to make it look like they hit the finish line. But I think there's one tier, because I think if you don't have one tier with this that's kind of unlocked, then to me it seems like for that $399, there's a lot of people that are going to be a little bit miffed, because it's just the 8,000 hit, the character comes with them, and that's it. I don't think that's going to float. I think we're going to see at least one tier.
So who on the team is buying it?
Oh, that's not happening now. Like I said, as much as I love the Black Series, the Vintage Collection has never been one.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
With the band, if the Cantina band was with it, all 4 of them on the shit, I would totally get it. Why isn't that one of the things on a team?
Because those characters are already made, so
right.
You could get those guys out on your own in the field.
It would be easy for them to put it in.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna. I think they offered some interesting items, but if you're not a Star Wars fan and you're just a casual collector, I don't think it calls to you.
It's not getting to 17,000. That's for damn
No,
sure.
no.
But hey, man, hey, all the vintage collectors, you know, we had our opinions, but if you're a diehard Star Wars vintage collector, I think the things that I'm hearing is people are excited about it. If you got the space, you build the Cantina, and it's part of that. So kudos to them. All right, for our last topic of the evening, we go on to ink. And with just a couple of minutes left in this episode, well, we have to go back to Marvel's big summer event, Marvel Bloodhunt in the comic book stores. Big buzz. We were even talking about it. Is it dead? I went into this the other day. Nobody cares.
Will tell you.
Look, I don't want to be negative Nancy here, but nobody cares.
This is where I think we'll be wrong on. I spoke to I picked a comic book store out here in my area. I told the owner that I would be mentioning them on Diggers Comics in Hemet, California. Ambrose and Ambrose Jr. run the store. Very clean store, very great store. We were talking about it. I asked him every time I go in there, I'm like, hey, how's this going on? How's it doing? He said it's doing extremely well for him. And he said the Red Band edition is selling well. And then we got into a discussion about how I thought that the Red Band wasn't worth it. We agreed to disagree, and that's always all right. But they're saying it's doing extremely well. I would say that.
What does that mean? They're selling $5 more? Like, no, what does that mean?
There are people specifically coming in the store asking for Bloodhunt. So somehow the word has gotten out there. It's doing better than expected. But I will tell you, in the consciousness of like the whole industry, it's not doing Civil War. It's not doing Secret Invasion numbers. It's not. It's not the thing that. And I think the Red Band, and the same argument I gave to him was, I don't think it's enough for the extra dollar to charge. And he was like, well, they gave you a couple extra pages. But I'm like, when you're on life support as an industry, I don't think it was enough. And I think by you saying that the Red Band edition was going to be something, and he was like, well, maybe that was my expectation. I will give him that. Yeah, it was probably my expectation. I thought that they were going to pull out a little bit more stops because they treat the comic book industry like it's not a real business. I've never seen an industry where they just are okay to lose money with. And I've read the books. And, you know, we're not going to tell anybody to twit plus. And I'm 4 issues into Bloodhunt and some of the other side books and everything. And I just think it's just an underwhelming event, you know, and I wanted it to be a better event, but this just seems like it just wasn't there. And even the crossover books, it's one of those series where unfortunately, like I want it to be over so I can read something else, you know, because I know we made the commitment, you know.
You know what got more traction than this? Scotty Young's big Marvel releases.
Or the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles by IDW, or Thundercats by Dynamite. There have been some bigger books released, and this is the thing. Again, I think Marvel and DC just have people that run the organization that just don't care about the industry enough. Because if I'm sitting in there, I saw Jim Lee pop up and he's throwing out these crazy ass commission prices, which, you know, they were up there in number. Jim Lee's able to do this. Let me explain. Let me give one aspect, for all the comic book writers out there and all the comic book pencilers out there. And I'm gonna say some controversial stuff, and I hope it's put on loop and shit. If you're not at Jim Lee's level, don't fucking speak for Jim Lee. Don't sit around and get on, like, you know, on your Facebook rants, your IG rants, and talk about, oh, well, I'm a comic book artist. You, like, brother, you are not at his level. Shut the F up about that. Do not speak about Jim Lee money if you can't make Jim Lee money. So your opinion should be, as I'm an artist or as I'm a writer in this situation. Look, I'm not going to go and give, like, you know, well, let me tell you about Neil Gaiman. I think I need to shut my mouth so I can sit at a table with Neil Gaiman and bring in the numbers he gives. So the first thing about it is Jim Lee don't need you to take up for him. He's fine. He want to charge $70,000 for a cover. Jim Lee can do that. But now here's the thing, which usually the people that's in it don't understand. why is Jim Lee opening his commission rates? Why would he be doing it at the numbers he's doing if he thought the industry was going good?
Mhm.
That does not sound like a guy that's running DC that ain't banking on some other money, brother. So that's what I'm saying. But I'm just saying, like, just shut the fuck up if you're not at his level. This, please, God. He doesn't need protecting. Jim Lee can do a good enough job if he wants to explain something, he can. Mr. Maddox, anybody else? That's my rant.
But with this Bloodhunt thing, like, I was fully in. I bought the first week, I bought all the tie-ins. Second week, I bought all the tie-ins, and I got through, I think, 4 weeks, and I got Bloodhunt 1 and 2. I got the tie-ins, and I stopped. I've not gotten the 3, and I don't know how far they've gotten.
Yeah, they're up to issue 4.
I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
it
was not
underwhelming.
worth it. It didn't feel like anything that was an event. It's like, yeah, there's some things going on. You're changing some characters and, how they're perceived in the universe, but it's not good enough to make me care.
It was incredibly lazy, knowing that they knew when Deadpool and Wolverine was coming out. Yeah, and I don't understand the point is, why wasn't there at least a Deadpool Wolverine event this summer? Well, because God knows problems. Yeah, that does sound like the original X-Men kind of scenario, which we should know there's an inside story we'll do for Comic-Con one day about Bob Harris's scenario happens. But to me, it's just like, it's another loop and a great opportunity they had a chance to capitalize on, and they just made the wrong choice again. Chet.
Yeah, I mean, you guys all summed it up. I was excited for it. I read it. I even bought like issue, I think it was 3. Yeah, because they're on 4 right now. So issue 3, I bought the Red Band, and like I do think Red Band is just a cash grab.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not interested in it. So I typically, people have heard me talk before, with comics, it's like, for me, it's like 3 and done, and the third was just kind of like meh.
Yeah.
So I don't. Yeah, I feel like they could have done a lot more, and they. I also really despise when they separate an event across so many damn books.
Yeah.
Like, it bothers the shit out of me when you could just make a big release, like a big book or like a thick book, or you could just say F it and release a trade and charge X amount of money for it. But instead it's like, so if I just read Red Band and I don't do any of the offshoots from issue 1 to 2, issue 2 is kind of like, what did I miss? And so I don't like having to go through and read everything to keep up. It's like,
I will say that if it is an event that affects the entire universe, it should affect every single book that they put out. And but they have to put that into every story on every book.
That's what I'm saying.
Make it a thing.
So that's what I'm saying is, like, what would have been ideal for Red Band is if they paused all of the titles and just focused on Red Band and did exactly what you said, which is like, here's how it's affecting like the Marvel universe in comics. And you went through, and the only thing they were releasing was Red Band, and that's the only thing you could buy. And it made people focus in on it, because then they could come back with the other issues where now it's the Marvel universe affected by Red Band. But when it's like, well, let's do Red Band, and then it's not really going to affect, well, it doesn't do anything to Ghost Rider, it's not going to really do anything to this person. It's like, what is it doing? We're just living in a Marvel universe of vampires, and it's like, whatever. Like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
cool. I'm not interested. True Blood was fine.
I know we said to finish it. I'm probably going to be the only person in the group just to finish it, but it's a hard finish. It was a very hard and very disappointing event, and I'll follow it all the way through just for the group to say we did it. But at this point, I'm 4 issues into it. I'm completely underwhelmed with it.
You know what it is? Why I don't like it? Because I remember this with the New 52 and Death in the Family, right? When you get into a book and you're digging the artist and the colorist and the writer, and then I have to go read the story from someone else's head, it's annoying because it's not going to be written the way it needs to be written, and the art's going to throw me off. I don't. That's why I just don't. I didn't like it in Batman. I didn't like it when they did that. Right? Like Death in the Family is like, it's good, but if you go pick up the trade and read Death in the Family as a trade, it makes a little bit more sense. And that's my point. Is like, this would have made sense had it been written by one person for every aspect of everything, and then you continued after that. Because when you have to go between art styles and then writers and then different types of like coloring and shading, like it's a distraction that's like unneeded. You don't need that shit. And it's like that is exactly why the comic book industry is kind of like falling, is because you look at Bloodhunt and you're like, Jesus, this is just a cash grab to make me buy books from writers that are shitty. Because I have to go read their book, and I don't like them. I don't like them. I didn't like. It's like with James Tynion the Fifth or whatever, when they tried to make me read his shit on Talon. It was like, no, I don't care. The guy can't write. He's not a good writer. It's not good.
I'll give credit where Jade McKay is the writer of the main Bloodhunt series, and I think that this is one of those points where you can't. And he might be writing other things. I haven't seen him too often because again, not reading a lot of Marvel stuff. But this is one where you really did, when Mark Miller was saying something a couple of months ago where he was like, you needed the Mark Millers, you needed the big industry guys. If you're going to an excited event, bring in some of those, Neil Gaiman, whoever, bring in the top dogs, but do not bring in these guys, because this event was just underwhelming. And I think the artist is extremely good, but this needed to have like a big, you're saying it's a big event. It needs a big name. Just like when you do a big movie, you go out and get a big, we know when we sit in the theater for Steven Spielberg, we're getting something. You're not going to take somebody and write a Steven Spielberg script who's not up to cuff to write something for Spielberg. Yep. This is what it was. I'm just, it was underwhelming and a heck of a lot disappointing. I'm glad it's selling well for the shops, and there's certain situations out there, but I thought this was going to be something that might help the industry, and it just seemed to be like, past beyond, and we've overlooked it again.
Yeah, I mean, you could have picked from anything. Like, you could have been like Frank Miller. You could have picked like Danny O'Neill. Mark Waid probably would have done a great job. But but you're not pulling in. I actually think Mark Waid could have done a fantastic job with Bloodhunt, to be completely honest.
I think there are so many other artists or writers that could have done a better job with this, that are actually acclaimed at the level where they should be, because they've earned and got this level. I just think the experimentation can't be with a big event like this.
No.
Well, I think in summation, Marvel's Blood Hunt did not live up to expectations.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I think, as Mr. Storm said, if you are not Jim Lee, shut the F up. Put that on a T-shirt and put that on the store. That's what we need next.
That will be live on our store.
Exactly. Hey, we've been talking a lot about toys too, and SKN, the Shadow Knows Network, has a lot of stuff around toys, reviews, and one thing this July 4th weekend, there was a big sale with one of our affiliates on Entertainment Earth. Mr. Storm, do we have the clip for Entertainment
I think we do.
Earth?
It doesn't make sense for us to talk about Entertainment Earth. Why don't we just let the fine folks at Entertainment Earth do it themselves?
Amazing. So look, hey, if you're going to order toys, you're going to pre-order toys, take advantage of these deals.
Yes.
PPI cast is the code. Helps the channel grow. Hey, we reinvest back into the cast. We get credits and stuff, but they are a really great site, and we're happy that we are an affiliate.
Well,
and then
and
for
it's
the mom,
better deal than they're giving you on their own site. We have a better deal than their own site.
It makes no sense not to use our
it.
code. If you're going to order with our code. The mom and pops, the ones that have been supporting us for a long time. We talked about comic book stores that Mr. Storm goes to, Mr. Maddox, everyone goes to the local comic book stores. But Toys versus Games in Wilmington, California, Mr. Storm, as always, giving some love and kudos to the independents outside of the big box stores online.
Absolutely. You just saw the ad for Entertainer Earth. The Toys vs. Game doesn't have an ad. We're here to advocate for them because they are a mom and pop store. They're just Tony and his wife, very good people. They always do local events and they just try to get the word out. And it's a place where you can go into that you can appreciate that there's no corporate buzz when you walk in there. It is just walk in, have a conversation about toys. You feel a little bit better when you leave. That's what you get from the mom and pops. They're vital to our entire model here in the States, is that those small businesses, they put in, like it's July 5th. He was there July 5th. You know, when it's the situation is popping up, he's there. He's on the weekends. Again, they do a lot of great local events. Stop in and see him. Let them know that the Pixel Plastic and Ink crew sent you. Tell Tony hi when you're in there.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And as always, we got all the great video content here on Shadow Nose Network. So please subscribe, like, follow the channel, turn those notifications on. We got constant content from pro wrestling to Marvel to DC to Star Wars to toy collectibles, you name it, and then inclusive the PPI cast every Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific time, right here on the website. Tons of other new stuff, including Toy Box Chronicles, 7 p.m. Pacific time, Wednesdays. Mr. Storm, we got a big one ahead of us for the audience listening. We got cooking this next week?
Well, you know, like I said, we always say spend your Wednesdays with Livestream Wednesdays. And that starts with the Fallen Fett on the Fallen Fett YouTube channel. That starts at 6 p.m. He kicks it off. Then from there, you get Toy Box Chronicles. And this week, we got a humdinger coming. I got to tell you that. We're going to do a roundtable. We're going to have a Rad that you see on the bottom screen. He's going to join myself and Mr. Maddox. We've got from the Sarlacc Digest podcast channel, we've got Dark Musher that's going to be popping in with us, and Scott Solo. So, you know, and whenever they think it's like, those guys don't know a little bit more than just Star Wars. But again, like Chris mentioned, we're going to do Star Wars. We're going to do G.I. Joe. We're going to do all the great episodes and situations out there to really build up Toy Box Chronicles. Also, for everybody that watched this last week, thanks so much. Toy Box Chronicles is constantly growing, and we know that's because of your diligence in viewing. And then after you watch Toy Box Chronicles, end your night on Wednesday with the Sarlacc Digest podcast. And beware, if you don't know anything about Star Wars, you will get educated by the end of that hour-long show, because they fill your heads with great information, things that you really don't know as a common point. I would say you use that show as the Star Wars encyclopedia and just sit back and chill. So that's what we got on Wednesday nights, man. It is fun-filled. I know we got some stuff planned on in the next couple of weeks with some dual casts and some other things, and we'll announce that through our Instagram, and that's Shadow Nose Network on Instagram. But if you're also not following Rad on Instagram, you're making a big mistake. And also Chet Maddox, because these are two of the most upcoming toy photographers in our industry, and they're really tearing it up and everything. In fact, Rad, you were bestowed something that I heard a very select few people ever get bestowed upon.
What's that?
Mr. Maddox was telling me something about Hot Toys.
Oh, yeah. If you're one of the photos of my recent Hot Toys, Sideshow Collectibles wants to feature it in their fan photography. So it's really cool to see. So you'll see it on Sideshow Collectibles website. But happy that we're getting some love. The Shadow Nose Network and PPI cast members getting some some kudos on the big sites as well. And you know, Sideshow Collectibles, one of the big players in the premium figure space. So that was nice.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Maddox is balling so much he needs. He's got the plastic paparazzi that has been taking some stuff by storm. And every time I see it, it always a smile on my face. It's like, man, this guy, like, I know there's a Fang Foo and some smoke and a Brother Voodoo, and that's hands down my favorite. But my man has been taking it to another level too. So, like, if you want some entertainment or something, hey, they just don't talk about stuff on the podcast. They're out there in the world shooting some stuff, realistic backgrounds and everything else. And Dr. Brentling, well, he's doing nothing, so just slaving away at his job. There you go.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, we appreciate you all checking in with us and watching with us, whether it be on the 4th or throughout the weekend. We wish you all a really amazing Independence Day weekend, and thanks for tuning in here on the Shadow Knows Network. Appreciate all of your support, and until we see you again, have a great weekend, y'all. Take care.